Despite a major Tory rebellion, the controversial fire safety bill has been passed into law. It means leaseholders with flammable cladding on their homes could be left with bills of up to £50,000. Well, Paul Afshar is from the campaign group End Our Cladding Scandal and joins us now. Paul, this isn't what you were hoping for, is it?
Not at all, not at all. And to be honest, myself and many homeowners up and down the country and across London woke up really worried this morning. We're worried because the talk of bills, as you say, in the tens of thousands, sometimes higher than 50,000, has now become a reality with the passing of the fire safety bill last night. And just to be clear for your viewers, what has happened is that this bill makes sure that leaseholders like myself, like, to be quite frank, hundreds of thousands of other leaseholders across London, are going to have to pay for cladding that they didn't design, they didn't build, and they certainly didn't ask for on their buildings. And this is dangerous cladding. This is cladding which needs to be removed to protect homeowners from the danger of fire. And as you say, the cost of doing this is crippling.
I mean, it's not just cladding, though, that we're talking about here, Paul, because they also face bills for things like, I've got a list here, fire breaks, new balconies, safer doors and sprinkler systems in order to make their property safe. And the reality is, despite whether the number is £50,000 or slightly higher, we're not talking about small change here, are we?
Precisely that. And it's not just the cost of all of these works, as you say, it's the works on the outside of the building, the cladding, and the works on the inside of the building, cavity breaks and insulation. It's also the very real costs that a lot of homeowners and families are facing right now. The cost of things like waking watch, which is where you have someone who literally watches your building for 24 hours to make sure there's not a fire there. There is one woman who is part of our campaign. She has young children and lives in a building in Lambeth. She's had to cut back on her food to be able to afford to feed her children because the monthly cost of providing a waking watch for her building is crippling her financially.
I think it's important here that we have a look at the government response, which I've just got here on the computer, and it says these amendments would not protect leaseholders from remediation costs as they envisage and would slow down our work to make homes safer. The government is bringing forward the biggest improvements to building and fire safety in 40 years, including a comprehensive £5 billion plan to help protect hundreds of thousands of leaseholders from the cost of replacing unsafe cladding in their homes. So the government isn't giving nothing, they are giving £5 billion towards this, aren't they?
Which does seem like a huge amount, you're completely right. But let me give you a very real example, which is my own. My flat is in a building which would not qualify for any government assistance whatsoever because it's under 18 metres. And not only that, the government assistance is there for the highest rises, the highest rise flats with external cladding. All of the things that you mentioned before, the cavity breaks, the insulation, the sprinkler systems, will not get any government funding whatsoever. Right. So I'm afraid the government is pursuing a political solution to a very real problem that we all face.
OK, well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us.